On the shores of Mexico in 1519, a pivotal moment in history was about to unfold. The arrival of Hernan Cortes and his band of conquistadors signaled the beginning of a clash of civilizations that would forever alter the course of history. They arrived with a thirst for exploration, dreams of expansion, and insatiable hunger for wealth. This was the dawn of the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. Cortes and his men found themselves in a land of diverse indigenous societies, yet their attention was soon drawn to the powerful Aztec Empire, ruled by Montezuma II and centered in the bustling metropolis of Tenochtitlan. It was an empire rich in culture, tradition, and wealth, making it an irresistible target for the ambitious Spanish. However, the conquistadors did not rely solely on their ambitions. They brought with them technologically advanced weaponry that gave them a significant edge. Guns, cannons, and horses were alien to the Aztecs, who were more familiar with different forms of warfare. This technological advantage provided the Spanish with a formidable edge, making them a force to be reckoned with. But it wasn't just the superior weaponry that made Cortes a threat. The Spaniards arrived in a land filled with complex political dynamics and rivalries. Cortes proved to be a shrewd strategist, adept at navigating these intricacies. He recognized the potential to exploit these rivalries to further his cause, establishing alliances with indigenous groups who held grievances against the Aztecs. These alliances not only augmented his forces but also provided valuable local knowledge and resources, further tipping the scales in his favor. As the Spanish began to establish a presence in the region, they also began to stir the waters of the once tranquil Aztec Empire. With their superior technology, strategic alliances, and unquenchable ambition, they were a force that could not be ignored. Thus, Cortes and his men, armed with their superior technology and unquenchable ambition, set their sights on the mighty Aztec Empire. This marked the beginning of a dramatic and fateful chapter in the history of the Americas. In a world unknown to them, Cortes and his men found unexpected allies. As they navigated the complex landscape of diverse indigenous societies, their attention was drawn to the powerful Aztec Empire, ruled by Moctezuma II from his capital, Tenochtitlan. But the Spanish were not alone in their ambitions. They discovered discontent simmering beneath the surface of Aztec rule, a factor Cortes would exploit to his advantage. Cortes was a man of cunning and charisma, and he understood the power of alliances. He reached out to the indigenous groups who chafed under the Aztec yoke, offering them a chance for rebellion. He capitalized on their existing rivalries and grievances, painting a picture of liberation from Aztec dominance. His words resonated with those who sought change, and one by one, they pledged their loyalty to the Spanish cause. Among these allies were the Tlaxcalans, fierce warriors and long-standing enemies of the Aztecs. Their addition to Cortes's forces was a significant boost, bolstering his ranks with seasoned fighters well-versed in local warfare. This alliance was more than a simple show of numbers. It was a strategic move that provided Cortes with crucial local knowledge, support, and resources. In a similar vein, Cortes courted the favor of other indigenous groups, turning their discontent into a potent weapon against the Aztecs. These alliances were not born out of shared values or mutual respect, but out of a common enemy. They were alliances of convenience, stitched together by promises of freedom and the lure of power. Cortes's strategy of alliance building proved to be a masterstroke. His forces swelled, and with each new ally, his grip on the region tightened. He was no longer a foreign invader, but a leader of a formidable coalition, ready to challenge the might of the Aztec Empire. With these alliances in place, the stage was set for a confrontation with the Aztec Empire. Cortes had turned the tables, using the internal strife of the indigenous societies to his advantage. The Spanish were no longer strangers in a strange land, but allies ready to march into the heart of the Aztec Empire. In a fateful encounter, Cortes came face to face with the ruler of the Aztec Empire, Moctezuma II. Here was a meeting of two great leaders, each embodying the spirit and ambition of their respective worlds. The initial encounter was one of curiosity and a misguided sense of prophecy. Moctezuma II, a man of great wisdom and authority, had been alerted to the arrival of these strange, bearded men from across the sea. In a twist of fate, the Aztec ruler mistook Cortes for the returning deity Quetzalcoatl, an integral part of Aztec mythology who was prophesied to return from the east. This misinterpretation was fueled by Cortes's unfamiliar appearance and advanced technology, which were unlike anything the Aztecs had encountered before. In accordance with their beliefs, Moctezuma welcomed Cortes and his men into the heart of the Aztec Empire, the grand city of Tenochtitlan. He showered them with hospitality, gifts, and an audience with the royal court. But this veneer of cordiality hid an undercurrent of uncertainty and tension. As Cortes began to assert his dominance, the tide of hospitality started to recede, replaced by a rising wave of resistance. Moctezuma soon recognized the true intent of these foreign visitors. They were not gods, but men with an insatiable lust for power and wealth. The Aztec ruler began to resist Cortes's attempts to control, marking the beginning of a tumultuous era of conflict between the Aztecs and the Spaniards. This shift from welcome to war was a turning point in the history of the New World. The meeting of Cortes and Moctezuma II, initially marked by misunderstanding and false prophecy, would soon spiral into a clash of civilizations. It was a confrontation that would bring about the fall of an empire and the rise of a new era of European dominance in the Americas. This encounter set the course for a clash of civilizations, a battle for control that would reshape history. The confrontation between Cortes and Moctezuma II was not just a personal meeting, but a symbolic clash between two worlds, the old world and the new, each vying for control, each reshaping the other in ways that would echo through the annals of time. In 1521, a once thriving city fell silent, marking the end of an era. As tensions escalated between the Spanish forces and the Aztecs, a series of conflicts erupted, leading to the infamous siege of Tenochtitlan. A protracted and brutal battle ensued, surrounding the heart of the Aztec Empire with a cloud of unrest and uncertainty. Hernan Cortes, having regrouped after the Night of Sorrows and reinforced his alliances, led the charge against the city. The Spanish forces, armed with technologically advanced weaponry and the support of indigenous allies, proved formidable against the Aztec warriors. The city that was once the epitome of grandeur and sophistication was ravaged by the relentless onslaught. In the midst of this conflict, the Aztec ruler, Moctezuma II, met a tragic end. His death further destabilized the Aztec resistance, creating a void that could not be filled. The leader's demise marked a significant turning point in the siege, as it dealt a severe blow to the morale of the Aztec forces. Despite the Aztecs' fierce resistance and valiant efforts, they were unable to withstand the Spanish siege. The city succumbed to the Spanish forces, and with it the powerful Aztec Empire began to crumble. The fall of Tenochtitlan signaled the end of a civilization that had thrived for centuries, leaving in its aftermath a poignant silence. Cortes, with the aid of his indigenous allies, emerged victorious from the ruins of the once magnificent city. The Spanish Conquistadors' triumph marked the climax of a series of events that had begun with his arrival in Mexico in 1519. The fall of the Aztec Empire marked a pivotal moment in history, reshaping the course of the Americas forever. The conquest of Tenochtitlan was not merely a military victory. It signified the collision of two vastly different cultures and the beginning of a new era. An era dominated by European influences and characterized by the assimilation, exploitation, and imposition of Spanish culture, religion, and governance on the indigenous populations. With the fall of Tenochtitlan, the mighty Aztec Empire collapsed, and a new era of Spanish dominance began. The city's fall marked the end of one era and the dawn of another, leaving behind a legacy that continues to reverberate through the annals of history. The conquest of the Aztec Empire was more than just a military victory. It marked the dawn of Spanish colonization in the region, a process that began with the establishment of Mexico City atop the ruins of the fallen Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan. This new city became a fulcrum of Spanish influence, a symbol of the merging and clashing of two vastly different worlds. The aftermath of the conquest was a time of profound change. The indigenous populations found themselves in an era of assimilation, exploitation, and imposition of Spanish culture, religion, and governance. The conquerors sought to reshape the socio-political fabric of the region, replacing the old order with a new one. This period, however, was not without its inadvertent factors that facilitated the conquest. The introduction of diseases, most notably smallpox, played a devastating role in the downfall of the Aztec Empire. These diseases, to which the indigenous populations had no immunity, swept across the region, wreaking havoc and weakening their ability to resist European incursions. But the legacy of the Spanish conquest extends beyond these immediate consequences. The fall of the Aztec Empire heralded an era of Spanish dominance in Central America and set the stage for further European expansion and colonization across the continent. It marked a turning point, reshaping the economic, cultural, and political landscape of the Americas in ways that continue to reverberate today. Yet this historical narrative also compels us to reflect on the ethical questions it raises. The impact of colonization on indigenous cultures, the consequences of cultural imposition, and the enduring legacies of these events are topics that demand our attention. They remind us that history is not merely a series of events, but a complex tapestry of human experiences, decisions, and transformations. Thus, the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire stands as a pivotal moment in history, a tale of ambition, alliance, and transformation that continues to resonate today.